Derby County are coming out of the transfer window with some huge injury news for their fans to contend with players like Sondre Langås and Ryan Brewster back to full fitness. Will they be getting into the squad in just over a week's time when Derby County travel down to Oxford for a 12:30 kickoff at the Kassam Stadium? Now, there's a lot of decisions to be made by John Eustace in regards to injuries and the future of this football club. And there are no bigger decisions than his back four. There's no bigger decisions than whether Ryan Brewster finally gets back into the starting 11. Now, you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We're going to go through all the injury list lists on Derby County's injured players throughout the course of this video. So if you have not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But should we get into it? Now, obviously, Derby County have been without Sondre Langås and Owen Beck since the beginning of this championship season. Neither player has touched the ball in a Derby County shirt for the senior team across the course of pre-season or the start of the EFL Championship campaign, which is obviously a little bit disappointing for Derby County, as obviously Owen Beck, brand new signing, you want him to play football. Sondre Langås was an unbelievable part of the team last year. Now, there's a lot of discussions to be had in regards to this and where this is going to go for Derby County, and one thing that's certain for me is that Derby County are only going to get better when these players return. Now, it has been reported on numerous occasions that both Owen Beck and Sondre Langås will be back after this international break. Now, my question for you is, do we put them straight into the starting 11 or do they just go into the squad? Now, for me, Sondre Langås should absolutely be straight in the 11 if he is able to last 90 minutes. If he is, there is no worry in my mind. He should be playing in that right centre-half position next to Matt Clark. In terms of Owen Beck, it's a little bit different. I think both Craig Forsyth and Callum Elder have done a really good job at left-back over the course of this season. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously certain parts of their job that they haven't necessarily done to satisfaction, but ultimately that is part and parcel of football. There's always going to be ups and downs, there's always going to be form highs and form lows. And ultimately, for Derby County, they currently find themselves in one, and they currently find themselves in a bit of an inconsistent state. Now, for me, there's a huge discussion to be had around someone of the ilk of Corey Blackett-Taylor. He's another one set to return after this international break, and for me, a very, very good player, and probably one of the best wingers at the club. But the big issue that we have with the return of Corey Blackett-Taylor is if he is to pick up another injury. Now, I really like Corey Blackett-Taylor. I think he's a phenomenal footballer when he's fit and firing. But the problem is at Derby County is we've not really seen him fit and firing. Now, he had a great pre-season, was brilliant at the start of the game versus Stoke City, set up the goal for Carlton Morris, and ultimately it all went downhill from there. Came off after about 60, 70 minutes, I think it was, and hasn't touched a football pitch since. I think he is back training now, though, and he is expected to return after this international break. But the problem for me stems from the fact of, yes, he might be brilliant, but can he stay fit? And that is where the situation lies with Corey Blackett-Taylor for me, because if he can't stay fit, he can't be in the team, he can't be in the squad for me, because you're just carrying a risk. And I know that you could say that for any player on the pitch, and I completely agree with you. Yes, you can. But it's one of those situations where Derby County have got to start looking at trying to put in consistent teams and consistent results. And I don't think you can do that with a player like Corey Blackett-Taylor, who needs a lot of protection. Now, I don't mind him coming off the bench. I do believe he does need to be a starter. But with his injury record, is that going to happen at Derby County? I don't really know. Now, there's a lot of other discussions, the likes of Charles Abuka, who's back now playing for the under-18s. You've also got Liam Thompson, who is set to return from injury in 2 to 3 weeks' time. I can't actually remember what he did. I think it was something to do with his groin. And obviously, we saw Ryan Brewster on the bench at the weekend versus Southampton. And when he came on, I thought he was quite bright. But ultimately, I don't think Ryan Brewster sits in this 4-4-2 setup. I don't think it works. I don't think it makes sense. For me, Ryan Brewster has to be one of the two strikers or just in behind. Now, don't get me wrong, I think you could play him on the right with a proper natural number 10, and I think Brewster would find a way to make it work. But in terms of what Derby County have been doing over the last couple of weeks, you look at Wrexham, you look at the second half versus Preston, you look at the game versus Southampton, playing that 4-4-2 setup, I'm not quite sure where Ryan Brewster fits in that. He came on the left on Saturday, and was okay. I think he was only on for about 15-20 minutes, but he was fairly decent while he was on the pitch. But ultimately, it's one thing being fairly decent. It's a complete other conversation. Being able to hit the boundaries, essentially, and be able to put the ball in the back of the net and have an impact for the team. Now, for me, John Eustace obviously knows what he's doing. I'm not going to turn around and say that he doesn't. But the big question in regards to that is, how is John Eustace going to make this work? You've got a Bobby Clark, you've got a Brereton Diaz, you've got Ryan Brewster, you've got Ajimang, Morris, Andy Vyman, all of these players who you've got to try and fit into a starting 11. Obviously, you bring back Corey Blackett-Taylor as well. I've probably just named 6 or 7 of our forwards, and that's not even all of them. You even got Lars-Jørgen Selverson as well, who probably deserves an opportunity in my personal opinion, but it's one of those situations where you don't really know where we're going to go from here and how this is sort of going to set up. Now, yesterday I made a video in regards to Derby County's January plans and where Derby County should be looking to go, because I believe that if you look at the team right now, I think it's obvious. I think it is a damn near slam dunk what Derby County need. And the only thing that could change that is, as we've discussed in this video, injuries. If Corey Blackett-Taylor picks up another knock, Liam Thompson on his return, does he pick up another knock? Sondre Langås, those are the type of knocks that sort of change a manager's thinking heading into a transfer window. Oh, we need cover in that position because he keeps getting injured. We need cover in that position because he can't stay fit. And that is the big thing that we've got to deal with over the course of the next few weeks. Obviously, we're about, 2.5 months away from the transfer window opening. We've already had a couple of links come out in regards to that of Derby County potentially making a move for Tommy Watson, who can play on the left-hand side, but who would have to leave in order for that to happen? You can obviously make Sanderson a permanent deal, but then ultimately you still don't have the registration slot. Now, obviously, there's a lot of discussions to be had, and John Eustace and the coaching staff, the recruitment team, will be having those behind the scenes right now as we are discussing. And it is going to be interesting to see how it does go. Now, you can obviously let me know your thoughts on the latest injury news down in the comments. I think we're in quite a positive position in regards to the likes of Ryan Brewster, Sondre Langås, and even the future of Owen Beck as well, who I think is going to have a huge part to play across the course of the next 30 or so games. But obviously, the only way these players can have an impact is if they are playing and playing consistently. We've already seen what Ryan Brewster can do. We saw what Langås could do last year. Now it's time for Owen Beck to make his mark at Derby County. Can Corey Blackett-Taylor return to full fitness and get himself going? You can let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Check out the likes of Loaded, NordVPN, and Kitbag down in the description, as well as checking out the Discord link and the links to all my other channels over on YouTube. We recently released our first video on the EFL channel, and we're back to posting on the F1 channel as well. So make sure you head on over there, check out those videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye, guys.